Hey guys, it's Wes with Pro Tips. So this week we're going to talk about your home Wi-Fi. Home Wi-Fi is very important. Now that everybody's working from home, you want to make sure your home Wi-Fi is secure. So I've got 8 simple steps you can take to make sure your network's secure. So the first thing is once your network's been installed, you're going to have a network SSID. What that is the name of your network. You'll want to change that. Most of the time it's going to say Spectrum 2G Home or whatever. Change that. Reason is behind that is because A, Spectrum knows what it is. B, everybody on the same block is going to have Spectrum with numbers after it, and that's just going to get confusing. So why not go ahead and change that? Change it to whatever you want to change it to. I would not use my last name. That makes it very obvious. I wouldn't use my street name or my address or something like that. Come up with something creative that's kind of funny. You know, get creative with it. That's the number one thing I would do for right now is change that network name. Just helps you know what your network is, helps you stay more secure. Number 2, make sure on your network, once you've changed the SSID, you also change the password. You don't use the password that's on the sticker on the label. Why? Very, very obvious right there. The manufacturer actually knows your password, and that's one way that they could get into your system. Not saying they would, but what if their system gets hacked and they get all the passwords that have been printed on labels? Guess what? Now they know that they have your password to get in your network, and they can start stealing identity and start stealing stuff like that. Let's just take care of that. Make it at least 22 digits. At least 22 digits. I know it's a pain in the butt. I know you don't want to type all that stuff in, but usually you're going to have to type it in, once a month? Because obviously you want to change it about once a month. Second, or actually, we'll go to third, make sure your encryption is turned on with your password. You'll want to use WPA2. That is the most secure encryption there is right now for your home network. So you'll want to make sure that is active and turned on. I've seen a lot of devices by default, that's not even turned on. So make sure that's turned on. Second, now that you're in your router or your switch and you've changed your SSID, you've changed your password, let's go ahead and set a new router password. Yes, that's different than your Wi-Fi password. So you'll want to make sure that's at least 22 digits also. And you'll want to also change the username. 99% of all home networks usernames are admin and the password is admin or admin123. Change that. If yours is done like that, that means your neighbor's is done like that. So that means, hey, your neighbor decides they need to know your password because their Wi-Fi's out. So they just log onto your system and say, oh, well, I can add mine, find out their password by just logging in or hacking into their wireless router because I know their username and password for the device is going to be admin. So go ahead and change that. What I typically do is I change the username to something random and then the password to something random. The username doesn't have to be that long. I'd say no more than, say, 5 to 10 digits. The password, you want to make at least 22 digits. I mean, yes, it's a pain in the butt, but that's why you could use a program like LastPass to go ahead and store all your passwords, so then you can just copy and paste. Okay? So number 5 is change your default IP addresses. Most home networks are 192.168.1.1. What does that mean? All networks at your home are 192.168.1.1. All hackers know that. Let's go ahead and change that. Let's change it to an IP address that's different. That's not 192. Let's go ahead and change it to 10.0.0.0.1. That's different. Most of the time when a hacker goes to get into your stuff and they see 192.168.1.1, they know they're golden. Well, if you've changed all these passwords, it is going to make it almost nearly impossible to get into your systems. Nothing is impossible, as we know. Stuff gets hacked all the time. Number 6, what you want to do is disable remote access. Remote access is for your service provider to remote into the device to see, hey, there's some issues, there's some problems, whatever. They don't need access all the time, do they? No. So you can turn that off and on. If they need access, you can turn it back on and give them access. A lot of new routers and modems nowadays don't even have that. They have a passcode that you have to give them so they can remote into the device. So keep that in mind. Number 7, always keep your software up to date. I cannot tell you how crucial that is. That will update your firewall, that'll update your software, and that will take care of any holes or patches or any glitches that you're seeing. Sometimes people start seeing weird glitches and their internet starts dropping or starts turning off at certain hours. Well, a lot of times that just needs the patch updated, and that will actually fix it. So make sure you keep your software updated. Next is make sure your firewall is actually turned on. I cannot tell you how many people I have helped that their firewall is not even turned on. Well, what's the point in a firewall if it's not even turned on? One of the things that a service provider does for ease of installation is turns off the firewall so they can see that everything's working on their end, and a lot of times they forget to turn it right back on. So make sure you turn your firewall on, because what's the point in having a firewall if it's not turned on? If you have any questions, guys, feel free to reach out to me. Have a good week.